Shortly after moving to San Francisco in 2008, two roommates came up with the idea of putting an air mattress in their living room to help them pay the rent for their loft apartment. They put together a website which allowed hosts to offer short-term shared accommodation in their homes. By March 2009, the site had 10,000 users and 2,500 listings. The company announced that 1 million nights had been booked through its site by early 2011. And by mid-2012, the number of bookings reached 10 million nights. By 2016, more than 3 million properties were listed on the site. So despite owning no hotels, the company now offers more rooms than the largest hotel chains in the world. The company is Airbnb. Their success lies in the use of innovative technologies that combine reviews, user profiles, and identity verification to enable peer-to-peer accommodation. But this is not an isolated example. There are many instances where new technologies have been deployed to disrupt established players in the tourism industry. Examples include low-cost carriers, online travel agents, high-speed trains, and self-service kiosks at hotels and airports. The Austrian economist Joseph Schumpeter proposed that innovations not only improve products, services and processes, they can disrupt an enterprise or even an entire economy, giving rise to new opportunities and challenges. Schumpeter observed that economies follow distinct waves or cycles based on technological innovation. You will notice that each innovation follows a cycle of growth and decline. Each successive wave is higher and shorter, indicating that with each wave, adoption rates are more rapid, the peaks are closer together, and the performance gains more pronounced. This is why it often feels like change is speeding up. You'll also notice that these waves of innovation have produced not one, but 4 industrial revolutions since the 18th century. What we call the fourth revolution is not yet clear. But what is clear is that we are now in an era where robotics, nanotechnology, connectivity, and artificial intelligence will drive innovation. While innovations can change entire industries like tourism, not all innovations are disruptive. The term disruptive innovation was coined by Clayton Christensen. According to Christensen, disruptive innovations either originate in a low-end market and move upstream to a higher value market, or they create a new market where none existed. A disruptive company targets markets that have been overlooked by competitors by delivering an inferior alternative, often at a lower price. Airbnb was disruptive because it appealed to the low end of the market by offering lower cost accommodation without all the facilities and services of a hotel. But over time, they've moved upmarket by adding nicer accommodation in wealthier areas. The hosts who list their properties on Airbnb are also its customers. So Airbnb has also created an entirely new market for peer-to-peer accommodation. Disruptive innovations are very difficult to spot. They're often ignored by established operators because they're not initially seen as a threat. But there are 3 enablers that usually lead to disruptive innovation. The first enabler is new technologies. Online booking systems, social media, identity verification, and review platforms all converge to support Airbnb's peer-to-peer service platform. The second enabler is new business models. Airbnb created a low-cost business model that provided accommodation without the need for the company to own any real estate. The third enabler is new value chains. The peer-to-peer interactions between Airbnb hosts and guests disrupts traditional supply chains and delivers a better value proposition for the customer. But are peer-to-peer accommodation networks like Airbnb really competing with traditional forms of accommodation? We asked one of our leading hoteliers here in Brisbane for his views.
So what do I think about Airbnb? Well, it's part of the sharing economy, and the sharing economy is here to stay. As a hotelier, when Airbnb first came to Australia, we were alarmed because we thought it was going to take a lot of market share. But over the years, it's transpired that there is a place for people who want to stay in Airbnb accommodation, and they're quite different to those travellers who need accommodation in a hotel with all of the services that go with a hotel. If you're a busy, time-poor, stressed-out corporate traveller, you don't have time to go and stay in an Airbnb where you might have to share with the owner, make your own meals, go outside to buy things. All of those things are provided in a hotel, and a busy corporate traveller requires those services.
Here at the University of Queensland, our very own Professor Sarah Dolnicher also happens to be an Airbnb host, and this experience has piqued her interest in disruptive innovation.
People often ask, are peer-to-peer accommodation networks just another accommodation provider or just another distribution channel for accommodation? No, they are not. They are fundamentally different. Why? They allow perfect segmentation. If you search long enough, you can find an accommodation option that is perfectly suited for you. Peer-to-peer networks also offer an unprecedented balance of power between host and guest. Guests review the accommodation, and importantly, the host also reviews the guest. All these reviews are publicly visible and affect future bookings. The nature of guest reviews gives motivated hosts a genuine opportunity for continuous improvement. Every time a guest reviews an accommodation, they are asked how it could be improved. But there are risks for both hosts and guests. A tourist may be disappointed by the accommodation once they get there. A host may feel that their house was not treated with the love and respect it deserves. This brings us to another difference. In peer-to-peer networks, both the guest and the host need to perform a risk assessment based on relatively limited information. As a consequence of the need for a risk assessment, in peer-to-peer networks, hosts do not always sell. In peer-to-peer networks, guests need to obtain the host's permission to book. And the host sometimes chooses not to grant this permission, mostly if the host assesses that the earnings are not worth taking the risk. Given the potential risks, why do people make space in their homes available to strangers? A UQ research project asked 244 peer-to-peer network hosts this exact question. It turns out that hosts are motivated by a range of reasons, most of which differentiate them from commercial accommodation providers. Commercial accommodation providers maximize profit. Hosts also like earning money, but many do not think of profit maximization. Some say it helps them pay the bills. Others say it enables them to keep their holiday home. Others again appreciate that they can afford a little bit of extra luxury. Another driver are social interactions. Many hosts enjoy meeting new people. Some say hosting is like traveling without moving. Finally, hosts mention their desire to share. Some hosts state they prefer to share than to waste space. Others host because they like to share the beauty of the place in which they live. Interestingly, hosts, as opposed to most sellers, do not necessarily sell if the price is right. Rather, many hosts inspect in detail the booking inquiry before confirming it. Another UQ study investigated what the key drivers are. Across all hosts, the travel party contributes most to a host accepting a booking request. In second place is a self-reference given by the guest about their behavior as a guest. The presence of a picture is critical, independent of its content. Purely personal characteristics such as gender play a smaller role in most hosts' evaluations of a booking inquiry. Also, as can be seen in the figure, hosts have different priorities. Some hosts rely heavily on the self-references, others do not. So, good or bad? Well, there is no doubt that peer-to-peer networks are competing with established providers. But they also offer some very interesting benefits. They open the destination up to a new market segment of travelers. They can make accommodation available in regional and rural areas which suffer from lack of tourist accommodation. They bring money into local economies, and they may even be helpful to emergency services in times of crisis. What are the implications for hotels, motels, B&Bs, youth hostels, holiday rentals, and other competitors? Peer-to-peer networks are different, but they still represent competition. The key to remaining competitive is to quickly learn about what makes peer-to-peer networks so successful and adopt these new performance attributes. What are the implications for policymakers and regulators? They also need to learn quickly about the benefits and possible negative side effects of peer-to-peer networks. Then, they need to ensure that they do not throw out the baby with the bathwater.
Our research identifies that the sharing economy offers some clear opportunities and benefits. But we've also seen that these business models create new challenges. For tourism businesses challenged by disruptive innovation, there are really only 4 strategic responses. Create your own disruption, acquire the disruptor before it becomes a threat, offer the same key benefits as the disruptor, or clearly differentiate your products and services from the disruptor. For destinations and governments, the challenge is twofold. The first challenge is whether to allow these new forms of business. But it seems like the sharing economy is here to stay. So the second challenge is then about how to regulate disruptive innovators to ensure the benefits to the tourism industry are optimised. Regulatory frameworks need to pay special attention to issues such as taxation, workers' rights, regulation, zoning, and exploitation. But destinations have a great deal to gain, because by definition, disruptors can make a destination accessible to new markets. Because a holiday consists of an amalgam of different experiences, the presence of a disruptor creates new economic opportunities for entrepreneurs to service the needs of these new markets.